Welcome, guys, to OTP Podcast, where we bring you uncensored and unfiltered convos. I'm your host, O. Some call me OJ, joined by my co-hosts, Chinny and Mr. Y. How you guys feeling?
I'm not feeling good this week still. This week I've got to get onto my team and it's not nice, man.
I love this game.
Yeah, man, I got to echo what Chinny said, man. It's been ain't been the best of weeks, but you know what? It's been a decent week of football, so I'm happy to talk football. So that's what it is.
Some days are good, some days are bad.
You know what, boy? Man come with the double D's today, yeah? Say no more, bro.
Let's get right into it. I'm not even going to bother. I'm excited. I was waiting for this all day. Let's get right into it.
What we got?
Woo!
Starting off lively.
Yeah.
Starring the hero as 10-man Liverpool come back from behind to beat Newcastle. OJ, what do you want? What do you want to go first, second? Now, what do you want?
I'm going to go first. I'm going to keep it light. I'm going to keep it lovely. I'm going to keep it cultured, lads. So.
Yeah, you go first, brother. You go first because you got that chest. I can see it today. You got that energy. So let's go. Let's see what you say on Liverpool.
I ain't good last night. I ain't good, bro. I was cool. I rewarded myself. I think I deserved it.
Man got his chest out for carnival, yeah? All right, I see.
So, to start the game, again, I looked at the team going into this game. Any changes? You know, I spoke highly about and to critique Klopp in regards to the team he chooses, the lineups, the tactics and whatnot. He went with the three. I wanted to see our two new boys have the freedom to, you know, get forward and play their natural game a little bit more, which we was able to bring Endo in and see what's going on. Again, but let's start at the start, yeah. Trent was getting cooked. I might have to pull back all my Gordon comments, you know, because he was cooking.
Yeah.
Trent, I ain't seen Trent be cooked like that since his first game when he played against Martial.
Martinelli cooks him every single time you play against him. Just letting you know that. Every single time.
And when your left winger cooks him every time, another one. I feel like Trent just looked like it's one of the worst I've ever seen Trent play. I think he probably made off the top of my head like one or two challenges. That's after he got mad. He was getting cooked, and he was getting cooked by somebody who got a lot of stick last season, a lot of stick season before that, who I didn't think was that good, but it seems like he's working in this Newcastle system, just energy, his shift the pace. I'll give it that he just turns and he's gone. So what? And you know, Trent, he backs off, and then sticks that foot out. So he's always risky going there. Let's go to the actual yellow card. I feel like it's crazy to think Trent is fouled. And then obviously, Mr. Alex talked about this before about passion and, you know, the rules and whatnot. Okay, he deserves the yellow card for throwing the ball away, but I feel like you're at the point where we're taking out the passion and all these things out of the game, because anybody, I know you're going to be professional, but anybody is going to be angry with that. He's literally pushed him and shoved him in the back. It's a foul, and it should have went that way. It went the opposite way. Trent got booked. Trent deserved to get a yellow card for the second one. I still think it was a little soft, but I think it's still a yellow card booking. And the referee's definitely like panicked and been like, okay, well, maybe the first one was the yellow, let's play on. We went down, we conceded, silly goal, Trent's touch. We spoke a lot about, you know, Chinny spoke a lot about Trent receiving the ball in and turning in that on the half spin, in that position. And it seems like it's the second time now, we spoke about this earlier, where he's made that same mistake where he's not been able to take the full control of the ball, to take the weight out the pass and you know, being able to shift his body and create a pass.
Nah, I'm not having that, bro. I ain't having that, bro. There was no turn in there. That was a simple control, man. Let it go.
No. I said he's not being able to take the ball and then shift his body.
Listen, there's a difference between taking the ball and a half turn. Nah.
Before you even got it, I said, yeah, I'm talking about the previous and this one. I'm talking about taking the weight out of the ball, taking it like you know, taking a great touch, taking the ball, and then being able to shift your body and make a pass. We're talking about that as a whole before. But obviously, he's taken a bad touch. He's not even a bad touch. I don't know what you call it. It's just awful. It's led to a goal. And obviously, Van Dijk, we spoke a lot about Van Dijk. Is he the same player and whatnot? I think again, we spoke about that's a tackle he doesn't make. Or his position, he's in a better position going in previous seasons and whatnot. Again, I agree. Before I know this is coming, you guys are waiting to get at my captain, but I do agree he's fell off since the injury. But all this, like, I think you guys are a lot more tactical and talk a lot more about, like, you know, than other conversations I've had with other people. That's like, Van Dijk's done. He's not done. He's still got a lot more to offer to the team. It's just he's obviously not that type of player. He's not the same. You know, he's dropped off a few levels, and I'm hoping we can get it back, which I'm not confident he will. I just need him to captain, make times, and still become a threat. Players are now running at him and not really fearing it. You know, I agree, it is enough. Thank God he's only gone for one game. But I want to say, we made some subs. Newcastle had the opportunities to, you know, get that game off. 10 men, 1-0 up, you know, within half an hour, whatever it was. And then the game. But one thing I saw with Newcastle is, as much as they were trying to go for it, I felt like they kind of got to a point in that game where they were like, okay, it's 1-0, 10 man. We just want to, you know what I mean? We were building up play and they were just fouling, hitting all our plays. Every time we broke out of like the press, they were fouling. And that's where I really thought we could do something. And a super sub, Darwin, Nunes baby, you know, he came in, did his thing, you know, he ran behind, you know, and just too clinical. And let's be honest, when he took that first touch, I know you man was ready to roast me. I know you man was ready to get in, because that first touch, I was like, oh my God. All this time, he has not improved on his first touch. But when he took, one thing I've always said about Darwin, I think we agreed in this, Chinny and Mr. Isaiah, is he's got attributes. He's good when it's funny because he'll score those and miss a one-on-one, like when he misses the easy ones. But when he's got the package, he's got the build, he's got the physique, he's got the pace, and he can come good. It's just that, I was saying this yesterday, it's just the little things I think he needs to sort out. The reason why he's not trusted, I think, personally, is because depends on what type of game. When you want ball retention, you want it to stay up there. He's not. He wants to run behind. He doesn't want to be on the ball for too much. He doesn't want to take too much touches. He's not that great taking too much touches, and that's where Gakpo beats him. But I think when it comes to the finishing aspect, he can. If he can get a run in, and he'll really show his worth. And I was excited to Newcastle. I think there were subs taking off Gordon was a huge difference. I think, you know, because Trent was getting cooked the whole game, and I feel like Newcastle should be embarrassed, because to be 1-0 down and then at the end you're really complaining about it should be 9 men. You should have really tore us apart in that game. And it's like, it's crazy when you think about the end result in that space of time playing Newcastle. It was a real opportunity for Newcastle to stamp their authority and say, you know, we are here. You know, they lost against City. They could have come here, and it's a difficult place to go. And that's another reason why I think Endo, I will give him the benefit of doubt, because it's a tough place to go for any team. He was a lot shy. And again, I said there's a good signing if we're going to bring in a number 6 who's physicality and whatnot, and they're impressionable and they don't go missing in games. And it's more than just interceptions. It's about that physical presence that's protecting the centre backs. I'm going to let you guys eat what take what I said and get comfort, because I see you both smiling. I'm gonna go 2 and then out, and then we'll do a little bit more of a tactical dive in this game.
Mr. Y, you wanna go first?
Oh, gladly.
Well, I want to start on what you was talking about Trent, because we were talking about Trent and his ability to receive the ball in midfield and turn, and that was maybe something maybe he could struggle with, but that was a simple footballer's touch, boy. That's a simple basic. That's a 5-year-old touch. You let the ball go underneath his leg. There's no turning radius. There's no nothing. It was simply the ball was played towards him. He could put his foot down, control the ball, he let the ball go underneath. So that's just, Trent was rattled. Let's just keep it 100. Trent was rattled. Yeah. The first yellow card was harsh in the sense of he was fouled, but even if you don't get a decision, we all know this. We've all played the game. You just got to keep on moving. You can't be petulant and kick the ball away. I know we said control emotions and whatnot, but with the new directive, we all know what the rules are nowadays, and they're clamping hard on that. So for Trent to do that, especially when you're away, is stupid. Then the second challenge is 100% a yellow card. You do that at any time in the game, that's a yellow card. So the referee, in my opinion, bottled it, because I don't care if it's the 5th minute in the game. I don't care if it's the 2nd minute in the game. Cards are cards. You've got to hand them out. You can't be picking and choosing when a yellow card decision should be given, but then it won't be given a little bit. It'll be given a little bit later, but won't be given at the start of the game. It just doesn't make sense. So that was one thing I had a little gripe with. I felt Darwin obviously was a game changer. I've got to applaud him. I know you always say I make similar references to Arsenal, but that's what I do. So I'm going to make my reference to Arsenal. Darwin has always reminded me of how Adebayor was when he first came to Arsenal, in the sense of he was a good physical unit, but his finishing was very iffy. But his movement was always top class. But you always knew that if Adebayor could find a finish and touch, he'd go on to be a top player. And he had, I think, 2 seasons of that before he left to Man City. And I've always felt with Darwin the same thing. His movement's always been exceptional, but his finishing, it's like he loses that composure in the vital seconds. But you can tell when it clicks, if it clicks, it's game over for a lot of defenders, because he's a handful. He works hard, he's relentless, he's fast, he's physical, good in the air. And I tweeted something about Liverpool's attack, about it being their trump card. Now, I'm going to go back to Klopp, because that win has nothing to do with Klopp. There's absolutely zero. Klopp is just being bailed out by the exceptional forwards that he has. It wasn't no tactical masterclass. I'm gonna keep it 100. It wasn't to do with.
But isn't that Klopp's tactical? Like, isn't that his change that he's made?
No, but I'm saying to you, you know what? When you have quality, I always say quality shines through.
Wait. No. I was trying to let you land here, but you're basically saying he got bailed up by. Go on, land. Go.
Yeah, all right. What I'm saying to you is, you lot, and I've always said this. One thing I credit Liverpool is that your forwards and the strength and depth you have up top is ridiculous. You've got a lot of quality, a lot of goals. However, the rest of your team is not as balanced, and that's what is at the moment holding you back from being title challengers or favourites, right? Your attack is probably the most potent, in my opinion. If you look at like goal scorers than anybody else in the league.
Yeah. But go back to Klopp had nothing.
All right. So what I'm saying to you is, you won that game down to. It wasn't because Klopp tweaked the tactics. It's to do with the actual personnel. You brought on Darwin, who is a good forward, who has good traits, and he managed to turn the game. It wasn't to do with
this. Might Klopp be your worst take, you know. I don't know, this might be worst take.
No, because the reality is, listen. Hold on, because the reason why I say that is, if you look at it objectively, the way the game was panning out, Newcastle had a chance where Harvey Barnes could have cut past the man in, and he didn't. Newcastle took their foot off the gas, but it wasn't to do with. Sometimes, like I've seen Pep implement like a tactical tweak in the game where he's changed the actual formation. All Klopp did was he changed the personnel and he brought on another attacker, and that attacker managed to do something out of nothing. It wasn't to do with you.
What did you bring an attacker on? Like, I feel like your comparison is what gives you like validates this argument, but I don't agree with the argument, because Klopp has signed the player and he's brought him on at this time because he's thinking, okay, I'm gonna bring him on, go for this game. And you're saying he's burdened, but that's a Klopp signing. That's Klopp's. That, you know what I mean? Like, I don't get how you can say he's got lucky, because if I and he's come on and scored 2 goals, like, I think luck is like if he's come on and he's just equalised, you just got pennies that like he's come on, he's banged 2 goals. Like,
but I say it's lucky because it's against the balance of play.
There was moments in there's moments in that game where, because we put Dominic in he was playing like, he played like right wing and whatnot, and we made these little changes in the middle. Obviously, personnel, not tactical, is what allowed us to play ball better from that deeper position to allow the attackers to go forward.
Even personnel around the pitch, around the formation, is tactical. If I want Salah to play, that's because I want.
It doesn't need to be like deep, like tactic boards.
But what I'm saying to you, yeah, it doesn't have to be. But what I mean is, I'm very vocal about how I've been questioning Klopp's evolution as a manager and what he does tactically for Liverpool, and that he doesn't really do much in that way. He kind of gives his players freedom. The same thing I used to criticize Wenger for. So I'm not sitting here trying to be inconsistent, or I'm trying to like just pick holes at Liverpool.
I just don't get that he got lucky. He got bailed out.
I'm saying to you, Liverpool. Well, I'm saying to you, Liverpool were very fortunate, and that substitute, in my opinion, was, to be fair, it was a natural substitute that all of us would have gone to, because after a certain amount of minutes, you need to bring on a fresh attacker, especially one with legs. Anybody from all of us would have said, bring on Darwin. That was a given. That was not. It wasn't something exceptional. It was a basic.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say to you? It's like
I mean, we can live in the same world and disagree, I guess.
disagree. Yeah, all I'm saying is that it was the most obvious decision to make, right? Because your players have been on the pitch for how long? People are tired. You need fresh legs. You need someone to freshen it up, and you've got a good forward to bring on the bench.
That's not the only substitution. That's not the only substitutions he made, though.
No, I'm saying to you, but who would he brought on to in that forward position? Otherwise, he brought on the two players, Jota, and he brought on.
Yeah, but
Darwin.
the last game we brought on one of our kids to play out wide, and he came on out wide.
What against who? Against Bournemouth.
Yeah, at Chelsea, sorry.
At Chelsea. What about it? And we question. Listen, I'm just saying to you, that was the most obvious. He brought on Darwin though, and Jota started that game, didn't he?
No, Jota was on the bench.
Jota came off the bench. That's the next time I'm talking about. Jota came off the bench.
Yeah, so both of them. So what I'm saying to you, so Darwin and Jota both came on, right? That's natural. That's the natural kind of evolution. It's like if Saka and Martinelli were on the bench, for instance, at Arsenal, you would expect them to come on somewhere down the line. It's nothing.
Yeah, but why has the end? Why is it? Because it's worked. It's luck.
But for me, that's more to do with Newcastle's deficiencies more than as opposed to Liverpool's brilliance. Like
you can only play what's in front of you. That you made it work.
Yeah, you can use that argument to satisfy your Liverpool your Liverpool head, but that's not for me. I'm looking at it like I like to look at it like overarching. I'm like, reality is Newcastle, and this is one thing about Newcastle I want to kind of like touch on is that collapse kind of shows how premature the title talk was after the first game. And it also shows their kind of like maturity and that they haven't made that evolution as of yet as what people were trying to guess them up too early to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? In possession, they're looking very needy, in particular Tonali. Like I thought it'd be the other way around, where Tonali would be better in possession, but may struggle physically. But if you look at how Newcastle failed to control that midfield or control that game with 10 men. It was pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic, right? So for me, those are the reasons why I question it. Like I said, again, Harvey Barnes could have squared it and made it 2-0. That's another mentality thing. Man checked back in, then was doing all this bullshit. Bro, if that was you lot on the counter, if that was a proper team on the counter or a team that's matured enough, that's going across the box, straight away, goal. Game done. And that's what I'm saying to you, Liverpool were lucky. Of course, you took your chances and you did what you did afterwards. Well done to you. Round of applause. But let's not look at it and let's not pretend that Newcastle didn't shoot themselves in their foot and show their lack of know-how in the situation.
Mr. Y is a hater, Yeah.
I know, right? Ever since he made that first club comment, it's just been nah. I can do better on FM,
bro. It's not about me doing better, bro. I'm just looking at it like I got to keep it at 100, bro.
You can't call us. I don't think call us lucky because, again, like Chinny said, he's made a personnel swap is different. Like for example, we brought on our crusher at the back, our kid and whatnot. We didn't have to. We could have kept Matip on. Obviously, I wouldn't play him any longer. But these little things like I just feel like I hear it for high energy and whatnot. Like Harvey Elliott coming on was a positive sub, and I hear it because of energy and whatnot. But that's still a tactical sub. That's a change. That's something the manager goes, okay, this person comes off, that person. You know what I mean? So again, I hear what you're saying. It's like, it worked out for us. I'm accepted because Newcastle almost showed their inexperience and how everyone fast forwarded their achievements and what they should be doing and where they were in terms of like how they're going to perform. But I think you're taking a lot of credit away from
listen.
The player.
Listen, I've got to praise Liverpool, right?
If you said the first goal was, I'll say cool, was a bit of luck. It's hit the man, it's fell behind him, and he's gone through. I can say, all right, cool, we got lucky there. But just here as a whole. It's crazy.
No, but I'm saying as a whole because the reason why I said
1-0 down, 10 men.
Bro, listen, you can praise clinicalness, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like you were preparing their goal for you scored with your first chance, your first shot on target from Darwin Núñez. That was the first time you had a shot on target after the red card. So what I'm saying to you guys got lucky is when you're factoring the whole game and how it was playing out. I can't sit here and pretend that you lot were sticking on them and then you've got a well-deserved goal. So what I'm saying,
your aim was towards Klopp in that.
Yeah, I'll tell you know what you man watch
Liverpool. Yeah? We were very fortunate to be 10 man and 1-0 down, losing our captain and then winning 2-1. That's very fortunate. But again,
wait, you watch boxing, yeah? You man watch boxing, right? You see how when AJ was knocking everyone out, no one was saying nothing. But then now we're looking at his game like, man, ain't really evolved. That's how I look at Klopp, bro. That's the same way I'm looking at Klopp.
I mean, we were calling out. But
that's the same way I'm calling.
Yeah.
And I'm on his neck this season, bro. Every game, I'm on his neck.
Yeah. When we're talking about Klopp and not evolving, that's all well and good. But if we're talking about it in terms of the game against Newcastle,
that's a different conversation.
I think that's a totally different conversation. He had a game to play, and he played the game.
And made the subs he thought needed to make. Yeah, they might be obvious subs, but he made the subs. We got the goal. Won. We shouldn't have won that game, but we did.
We got something for you, Mr. Y.
Say no more.
Hey, that was a wild statement.
Listen, substitutes. Let me respond, yeah?
No, wait. Let me have a go.
Go on. You say what you want to say.
First of all, yeah, I'm going to big up Klopp today because I thought he done some things. He started off with his right back, getting a free yellow card, then nearly getting sent off. Then half an hour into the game, after they've conceded a terrible goal, their captain gets sent off. They've had to rejig this back four and say, you know what, away to Newcastle, who go crazy at home, we're going to go 4-4-1 and just try and hit them on the counter. Newcastle had loads of the ball, all of that good stuff, but they didn't really do too much with it. They had a couple opportunities where they could have had better opportunities, but that's to be expected when you have 11 against 10 and you're a decent team as well.
And you're at home.
Second half, once the mistake happened and Klopp made his subs, he got some energy and he was criticised online heavily for taking off Luis Diaz instead of Gakpo straight away. And if we're talking about like tactical changes in a game, like he could have started Nunes to cause problems against Newcastle. He chose to start Gakpo. That tactical, whatever he tried to start off with, didn't work. It wasn't working still with Gakpo.
He could have went with the same three in midfield and played Gakpo as like he's been doing in the last 3 games. Did it at Stamford Bridge.
It didn't work.
That was a choice. That was because there was nobody else really. Because
he did at Bournemouth. He's played that. That's the first 2 teams he's played. Is that identical team? Sorry though, Chini, go.
I think that was by force. But yeah, Gakpo, obviously it wasn't working for him up top. Even when they went down to 10 men, he was up there lone man. So he's taken it upon himself to make the subs. He's brought on Jota, he's brought on Harvey Elliott, he's brought on Nunes. And while bringing these men on, he's shifting the team around. Salah's had to go up front. He's gone wide. Elliott's had to go on the right. Jota's gone to the left. Like he's moving players around the pitch to accommodate what he thinks is going to get the best out of scoring a goal. Obviously, the first goal's come lucky, bad touch, slipped through to Nunes. He's absolutely rifled at home, by the way, because it was not an easy finish.
It's pure.
And then the big thing after that happened was Botman got injured. You see, when Botman got injured and they put Burn into centre-back, that was the problem. Because they had Lascelles on the bench, who is a centre-back, and they brought on Target and moved Burn into centre-back. If you watch the goal for his second goal, Salah receives it. Nunes is in front of Burn by like 3-4 yards. He runs across Burn, past him, and all this time Burn is not reacting because he's a left back. Because he's not understanding that once that ball goes past you, that's it.
Good.
He's not out wide no more. He's going into your box. Salah's played is such a simple ball. Nunes hasn't even looked where the ball is. He's just hoping that when he looks up, the ball is at his feet. And then he's rifled another one on. Like, if that's not a tactical change to use all that energy, Nunes' energy, we spoke about it. He's got all the attributes to be a killer. And he showed it in that little 20, 30 minutes.
Mr. White's downplaying the simple stuff. That's the problem.
But,
bro, listen, I could applaud him for making the substitutions. I'm not going to sit here and say that his substitutions never changed the game, right? And we all know that Darwin is a striker that excels when there's space behind, and there was going to be space behind with the way Newcastle were playing, right? But at the same time, what I was trying to get at was Liverpool didn't have a shot until the 81st minute of the game, and that's when they scored their goal, right? So It
I mean,
wasn't.
it's with 10 man down.
All right, cool.
Man,
But I was just saying to you, so that's what I'm saying to you. For me, it wasn't like you lot really grew into that game and you were starting to kind of.
They didn't want to. They didn't want to. They wanted.
No, but-
it was done with limitations.
But that's
Hold
what I'm
it.
saying to you. It was very. And hence why I said the word they were lucky, because
That's
of
not-
how
that's not-
how. That's just my perception.
We was
can
playing.
agree.
We was
disagree.
playing. It was. They said damage limitation. It was counter attack. It was all right. Let them attack us. We'll set sharp shot. We'll defend, and then if we can get somebody free, we'll go. That's a
All right,
tactic.
so okay, but
Damage
are
attack
you both? All right, let me ask you a question. Yeah, just simply, were Liverpool fortunate to still be in the game at that point in the game?
Yeah,
Yes
but
or
that's
no?
not luck.
No, but I'm saying, but that is a bit of luck. If they,
Almiron hit the post. Apart from
that's
them,
what I'm saying.
And
Harvey
Alisson
Barnes.
Alisson made
Harvey
a couple.
Barnes.
It was,
Harvey-
but that's his fault.
Yeah, Harvey Barnes, the cross that.
To Callum Wilson, but that's not
Yeah.
Liverpool's fault. That Wilson's making
No,
bad
but I'm not
decisions.
saying it is. I'm just saying to you, they were fortunate. Two things can be
But
right
then
at the same time.
Newcastle were then fortunate as well, because are they fortunate that Van Dijk got sent off so they could dominate the game like?
But one way or another, they should have been sending off anyway. To be fair, that Van Dijk was either that Van Dijk or that Trent Red. One of them was going to happen.
But Trent again. But they were fortunate to get that first yellow card because it should have been the other way around. If anything,
It should have been.
So if we're gonna talk fortune, we're gonna put a I mean, if we talk about fortune, like we can have a conversation about every single almost decision or decision that's happened. It's easy to do that. You can't. That's how football's played.
Klopp sensed danger at the end because Newcastle were pushing for a second, and he said, "Yeah, Núñez, anything in behind, go play with that." Because Gakpo obviously doesn't have that quality. Well, them attributes to run in behind the same way Núñez does. And he tactically said, I know I have a player that can do that, so let me get him on the pitch.
Well, that's a fair point, and I can't disagree with that. All I'm saying is that if that was my team, if I'd watched Arsenal and the roles had reversed, I would think we were fortunate because I'm acutely aware that the way the game was and the game sticks was that they were on top and we managed to get 2 breakaways, one very fortunate breakaway. And the footballing gods were on our side. I don't think it would be to do with our excellence or us doing something special. It's one of them. It's one of them games where you just.
I mean, special. Don't take it special to be away. And
listen, it shows character.
In the last 10 minutes, that's special.
Bro, and that's why I said it's your trump card. Your attack is out of this world. I've always respected your attack. Your attack line.
I just feel like you're just being very harsh on Klopp.
Super.
Bro, but do you not think that's because of what he said?
Very fortunate. Yeah, fortunate and lucky is 2 different things in my
But
head.
Mr. White, we're gonna hold your point because later on in the show, there's other topics and other similar circumstances and games where you can. I need to see the same energy for these same circumstances.
Cool.
I get we've spoken enough about. Well, they got their win. Newcastle will be very disappointed. It doesn't matter how they play; they'll be pissed off. Liverpool, what's that? 7 points.
Yeah,
4th place, baby.
7 points in 3 games, and they still need to sign a few players. So,
yeah, looking promising, man.
And
even if they don't,
that hurts to say that, you know.
Well done,
bro.
OJ.
No, listen, bro. I got the uttermost respect for you lot's attack, and I said it before. If you strengthen your midfield, you're there. Your midfield defense, yeah. You know, and one thing on
we go to the next game with no Virgil and no Konate.
Just a little thing on Virgil, yeah. I do think Virgil ain't the same player no more, but I also think that I also don't think that the way you lot defend in general doesn't help him. So I think obviously he's lost his athleticism. He's not as good as he was pre-injury. I don't think that can be disputed. But I also feel like systems and the way in which you set up can kind of hide a player's flaws or help a player excel. And I feel like we saw that, for instance, that was an example I used last week when I was talking about Caicedo. And I was like, he will look better at Brighton's system rather than Chelsea's because he was marking, he had a smaller space to defend, whereas with Chelsea had given him way bigger gaps to defend, and he's not in an N'Golo Kante. So
I think this is the problem with having Van Dijk in your system. Both your fullbacks fly, yeah? So normally if both fullbacks fly, your DM has to sit real deep. And it basically becomes a third centre-back, Sergio Busquets style, you get me? So if you roll with that, then he obviously drops back in. Van Dijk, the two other centre backs, Van Dijk, Kanai, Van Dijk, Matip, Van Dijk, Gomez, whoever, have to go wide of that DM. If you leave Van Dijk as the left-sided centre back and not the central centre back, there's always going to be an issue because of, like Mr. Wise says, his athleticism. So if I'm a forward or a winger and I'm coming up against Van Dijk now out in like the left-hand channel, the right-hand channel, I'm telling you, it's field day time.
And also, like, do you guys remember when Liverpool at their best, there wasn't many moments where Liverpool allowed attackers to just run at Van Dijk. It wasn't a constant theme. It was every so often you'd have it and Van Dijk would do his thing, but it wasn't 3, 4, 5 times in a game. If you allow any defender in world football, I don't care who it is, if you allow them to be exposed and they'll have an attacker run at them 3, 4, 5 times a game, you're going to see more holes in their game, or you're going to see them struggle a lot more because they're being exposed and asked to do more than they should be. It's okay with it happening every so often, right? But when you're in a Liverpool team that plays with a high line and you've got so much space behind you, it's peak. It's peak.
I agree.
I agree. But I guess that's us on Liverpool. Same thing, you know, you're up to 4th, still ain't lost. We'll move. Second topic of the day. Arsenal frustrated at home to resilient Fulham.
I love that word, resilient.
It was a bad day. Yep. It was a bad day in the office, man. It was just a bad day. I was pumped.
All away.
I was pumped. I was pumped. I mean, the game started. We do what we do. We pump. Ramsdale goes long. It's come back. They're keeping possession. I don't know if you've seen it, but so Thomas Partey gives it to Ben White. So Thomas Partey's like dropped into he started right back, but he kind of inverts into midfield. But then he moves like from like centre back position, like that deep lying playmaker, back into the midfield. So he's there. Ben White's got it out wide as a right back, gives it into Declan Rice, who pops it out to Saka. Obviously, Saka's done a terrible pass back towards Ben White, and he's overhit it. Hasn't even come to. You can piss off. It's gone. Like Ben White hasn't even had a chance to control it. It's just gone past him.
Oh, so was he on the half turn? What was he doing?
No, it hasn't come to his feet. He didn't have an opportunity in it. My right back.
It was a misplaced pass. He didn't let the ball go underneath his legs like I said on somebody, which is.
Hey, a mistake's a mistake, baby. It's still cost a goal. Where do you want to go? What we gonna do?
At the time, I was grilling Saka, and rightfully so, because it's such a basic pass. Like you can underhit it and let Ben White have to go through it, but you can't overhit it and then all that space and behind everyone's chasing it. It's just about who gets there first. So he's gone for it. But the biggest thing that I saw, and this was on the replay after, is that Thomas Partey is obviously anticipating that Saka has a better pass to Ben White, and then Ben White can then find him. So Thomas Partey's gone bombing back into the midfield and left Pereira behind him with no one else next to him. Saliba's all the way on the left. So the ball's gone back in. Thomas Partey's going that way. Pereira's going this way, bro. It was a calamity. It was a calamity from before minute one, and Pereira's mishit the shot.
He meant that, man.
No, I think he's mishit that. He's gone to bend that round.
What did he say?
I don't care what he said. And then he's gone near post. I know Mr. Y was like heavily onto Ramsdale, but I don't really feel like Ramsdale can do much with that. Like he's anticipating that it's going that way, but it's gone the other. Like you're anticipating opening his body in it to find the far corner over your head, and he's gone near post, and it was like inch perfect into the near post. So I think that was obviously the start was a calamity. But then Arsenal do what Arsenal do, and we go 100 miles per hour for the rest of the game. There's no we had the ball, but I wouldn't call it control, like controlled possession. There's no we wasn't running our usual structure of play. It was just 100 miles per hour. Everything was just so fast. I think the first half we did have a few chances as well. Saka missed a free header. Havertz not getting across the box. Trossard couldn't find his bloody feet. So those Odegaard just taking shots and obviously trying to find his rhythm that he had last year, and he's not finding it yet. So first half was a lot. Second half, Arteta made the change and he brought us back to square one, what we was doing last year. Yo, you see when Zinni and Vieira came on that pitch, and Eddie, to be fair, it was different. Eddie's causing all types of issues up front. Zinni is back to controlling the game as he does. It starts becoming more controlled as we're chasing the game. Heavy pressure. We had like 70% possession. We're shooting. We're crossing the ball. Vieira's come on, and I don't think I've seen him have a better cameo than what he had on Saturday. He was everywhere. He was doing his thing, creative, driving, and he just looks like he's just a lot better physically than he was last season. So the way he drives with the ball, the way he's positive, the way he turns to try and find the open man to create something was just real positive, and it just shows confidence. And for someone that hasn't been playing, that's a big step forward. But yeah, we've scored the 2 goals. Obviously, we won the penalty, which was definitely a penalty. We then scored the Eddie goal. Our Fulham player was down, but we don't care about all of that. No sportsmanship around here. And then we've gone from 100 miles per hour to 5 miles per hour. And it's like, yo, keep the ball. They've got 10 men. Just keep the ball. Let's keep this rolling, and we'll be good. These men have done some. So as much as I big Zinni up as well, yeah, in the lead up to Fulham getting that corner, he has the ball. He tries to do something clever. He then tries to commit the foul on Traore, who obviously is a rock and just pushes him on the floor. They get the corner and it's terrible defending. Like there's 100 players that it beats at the near post. And the fact that he's able to shoot the ball as it's coming down to his feet, it's not a header. So he's hit the ball from low. That means it's come up and down and no one's met it. None of the front post markers have met that before it's come to Paulinho. I think it was terrible defending. And we got what we deserved. And I think Arteta got what he deserved. And I love Arteta. I like his tactical know-how. I like the way his brain works. But one thing I can say is this Thomas Partey thing don't work. This right back inverted thing it's a non-starter because he doesn't have the athleticism to move quick enough from these spaces, and he doesn't have the agility to turn the way that Zinchenko does when he receives it from once he's inverted. But the way he receives it when he's in DM, he can obviously always go back to the keeper, he can go back to the centre-backs, he can knock it out wide to one of the full-backs. It's a very different role and angles that he's receiving at when he's playing at that position. And I'll just touch on the last thing I want to touch on for Arsenal is Havertz. Well, you know what? I don't think he had a terrible game. I don't think he had a good game. But when Vieira came on, it was just like this. Vieira was doing everything that I wanted to see Havertz do. But they're 2 totally different players. And I feel like if Havertz plays for Arsenal, he's got to play in one of them forward positions when he's playing because he makes us a man light in the midfield when we're playing him in the midfield. So Arteta's got to work that one out very quickly because I'd be so surprised if I see him start as a midfielder against United. I'd be surprised if he starts in general, to be fair. But yeah, that's my lick on Arsenal. I'm very sad. You know, it's a mad thing that when you're an Arsenal fan and a draw makes you sad. Now we want to win every game right now, so and draws make us sad. So now, obviously, we're going into the game on Sunday against United, and it just feels like a must-win. Like it feels like a bigger game than it would have had we beat Fulham on Saturday.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, on the whole Partey thing with I don't really, as much as I don't like it, I don't really have an issue with it because I think what we're trying to do is find an alternative way to play when Zinchenko is not in the side, and we haven't got that inversion from the left side. And I don't think that is the biggest issue. For me, I feel like there is a real concerning issue when we play at home. I mean, I saw a stat the other day about how we've conceded inside the first minute in 3 of the last 9 Premier League matches. And all those goals that we've conceded are from errors, right, that we've made, which for me, that's more of a mentality issue or a lack of professionalism as opposed to anything else, because we are literally gifting goals for one reason or another. I mean, I remember against Southampton, Ramsdale played a pass to nobody, got intercepted, they scored.
That wasn't the first minute.
Huh?
That wasn't the first minute one, though.
That was the first minute, bro. I was there.
What, when he played through the middle of the players?
Bro, first minute, minute number 1, Alcaraz. Go check it. You can check it right now as we're talking, bro. Bro, that happened there, bro. I remember I was at the game and I was fuming, bro. I was thinking, what the fuck are these lot playing at? Like, you can't, you bring it out, bro. Right? So, and then again today, well, not today, but over the weekend. So, there's this lack of maturity or there's something that needs to be questioned. It's not, I can't blame the manager for players being that lackluster or making those type of errors in the beginning of a game, because it kills you. It completely changes the dynamic of a game if you think about it. Because all of a sudden now, Fulham can actually happily have something to hold on to and can just fold into that low block and just know that if they're resolute enough, that's the game done. I was one of the few fans that was unhappy with Eddie being dropped. I feel like over the last 2 games, he's done, well, even 3 games, if you look at the impact he had when he came on against City in the Community Shield, he done more than enough to start. And people question what he does when he plays, in terms of he's not as good as Jesus in terms of bringing players into play, but physically, his ability to run channels, to back into defenders, to turn defenders, create space for other players in the team. And I really like that aspect of Eddie. I don't think he's an exceptional player. If we could upgrade on him, of course, I'd be more than happy to let him go. But for what he gives us and the effort he puts in, I think a lot of people sleep on him. And one massive issue I have with the Arsenal fan base is the level of inconsistencies. Like, if Eddie had dropped the performance that Trossard had dropped, the stinker that Trossard had dropped, the way the knives would be out, the pitchforks would be out. Yeah, it's all agenda-driven based. And same thing with Havertz. Now, Havertz was trash. I'm not even going to sit here and pretend that he wasn't trash. Right? He had a shit game. But our star boy Saka gave away a goal, missed a clear-cut opportunity, then went to sleep on the corner. Yeah, that's 3 key instances in the game that he's let us down. People don't want to talk about it. People are like, "Oh, that's our star boy. We can't criticize him." So, like, that's some fucking bitch boy mentality. Like, hold him accountable. I don't care what it is. I don't care what you've done in any other game. I'm judging you on what you've done in this last game, right? It's not me criticizing your overall career, but it's me criticizing your performance. So it's funny how when we have results like this, the first names people go to are the Eddies, if Eddie had a poor game, or the Havertz, because they're the scapegoats. They're the ones that fans can beat, quickly. They're the ones that, they're the easy ones to blame. Whereas in reality, we got to have serious conversations. Saka, as much as we all love him, was responsible for that result because he had an impact on both the goals, right? Or on both the goals. And I felt, like you said, when Vieira came on, I was really happy with what he did. He added some energy. Obviously, him and Martinelli have a bit more of a connection as well. You can see Martinelli actually wants to pass the ball to Vieira as opposed to when Havertz is on the pitch. It's like he'll see Havertz running down the line and he'll just be like, should I?
Maybe it's a trust.
And then he'll either play it late and overhit it, or he'll just go inside. Like, he just doesn't want to give it to him.
Maybe it's a
and
trust.
That's another man that had a stinker, but people don't want to talk about Martinelli.
Martinelli.
Bro, Martinelli, in my opinion, had a stinker, absolute stinker. And I'm happy to call out my own players because I keep it to the same stance.
Until Havertz came off the pitch.
Even when, but for me, I'm not looking at what he's done with his relationship with Havertz. I'm looking at his overall game. There was a chance where he got played in, and he could have just took it on his left foot, and then he tried to check back in, and then he cut in, and then he hits a tame shot. And it's like, you don't, when you're in that, when you get into that box, you haven't got time to fuck around. You got to let it off as soon as possible. You're on your left foot, you got a solid left foot, you got space to let fly. Instead, you cut back in, you make it harder for yourself, you do the jinky, and then you let off a tame shot. He was playing with his head down, and again, you got to hold him all to account. I don't care. I'm not in this business of oh yeah, you're young or you're this and you're that. Now you're playing for Arsenal, you're playing for the shirt. You ain't putting a performance. I'm gonna tell you, yo, you ain't doing it. And he was playing with his head down, and if that in turn impacts the way we play, because you got Havertz making runs, they're not being found, and then that affects, that all kind of like combines and impacts our overall performance. I felt Zinchenko, like you said, was another game changer, but then he's supposed to be one of our leaders, and man's fucking about. Man's got the ball given to him, and he waits. He could have played the pass. He had so much time to release that ball when he got the ball on the left-hand side. He could have played that ball so early, but what he wanted to do is to show, yo, I'm a techie guy. I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna bring it inwards. I'm gonna let you try and come and close me down. I'm gonna do something, bro. Play simple. You're winning. We ain't got time for this business. Yeah. So all in all, I don't think the formation is the issue, or even the personnel, because we're not really allowing them. There's a few worrying aspects of it, because we are kind of, there is times where the teams can hit us in transition, and we still haven't found those relationships. But in general, we're not allowing them to have lots of shots or to pepper us or whatnot. But it's more to do with our own mentality and how we approach the game and the mistakes we're making. And had we shown a level of maturity, like a City have in the past, like City do, or Liverpool have done in the past, then that's an easier 2-1 win. You fucked up, you've given away a goal, but then 2-2s, you've come back now, and you've just said, all right, you know what, last 10 minutes, I'm going to bop this ball around, you lot with 10 men, you know what I mean? Work on your stamina. There you go. You know what I'm saying to you, go chase the ball. But instead, you're just, like you said, playing at 5 miles an hour.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's a lack of control. And
but
that comes from, one, it starts from the manager a bit, and then afterwards he's put on the players that he feels can gain control of the game. Zinny, Jorginho, and they just haven't done it.
But that's why I don't blame the manager, you know, Che. That's why, for me, I'm more kind of critical on the players here, because I'm like, if we brought on players that are supposed to inject that mentality onto the pitch, right, and then they go round and they don't do, because we all know the manager ain't asking him to kick the ball about at 5 miles an hour. The manager ain't telling Saka or Ramsdale or whoever to make those sloppy mistakes in the beginning of the game. He ain't asking for that shit. But for some reason, these lot are not with it, or they're not sharp in certain moments of the game, and they switch off. And that's literally it. They switched off for the corner. They had a corner that's like, oh yeah, we're 2-1 up, it's easy, game's done. And then bang, Paulinho comes in and scores. Whereas really, you got to be like, where's the hunger?
The game, it hurt because it took us so long to get back into the game. We got it back in, we got into a winning position, and then we gave it away again. And it hurt still. That the result hurt. I think the right-sided inverted thing, obviously we tried it apartheid towards the end of the season. But I don't think there's been a game where he's looked particularly good at it. Like, he can do it, but not particularly well. I think that was made for Timber. Obviously, we had the big injury to Timber, so that hasn't worked out. So we've now used Partey there. But do you think?
Can I just ask you? Do you think that's to do with the whole right-sided? Because I look at it as to do with where just last season we never had an answer when Zinchenko was out, and obviously the KT can't really play that way. So do you think it's a?
I think you're right. I think it's just about balance, being able to change things. If Zinchenko's out and he's been out a few times, can we do it from the other side and still have the same thing but from the other side? I think you're right with that. But Zinchenko's back now. Against United on Sunday, I will be very surprised if I do not see a back four of Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko. Because obviously when we invert from the right, Gabriel has to then sit on the bench. And that ain't working for us. That is not working. So unless he's going to Saudi, he better have his arse reinstated in that back four, because we ain't got time for this. put Partey back in the middle, put Declan Rice in there, and put Odegaard in there, and that's it. We need to win the game.
I'm glad you touched on that because you reminded me. Because for me, I was saying to one of my bridges, I say one of the issues I have when Partey plays right back, right, and inverts is that we don't have no natural, like real centre half, if that makes sense. Who just loves defending. They're all ball playing centre halves. You haven't got like that gritty John Terry like defender, if that makes sense. Somebody who's just all about throwing his body on the line. Do you know what I mean? Defense first. Everyone's nice. Kiri was nice, technical, likes to ping passes. Ben White, Saliba the same. So we don't have that natural, aggressive, actual, through and through defender. And obviously when Zinchenko plays, obviously Gabriel would always kind of play that centre back position, and he offers us that. So I think if in the window, if we are going to do something, I wouldn't mind us maybe bringing in another centre half that can give us that when we invert from the right, a centre half. Yeah, a centre half that's aggressive and gives us what Gabriel does.
I just don't know any of the. Sorry, OJ, go.
I was gonna say, to be fair, I think your sub has bailed Arteta out there. I think you guys got really lucky, and I think he's bailed him out there. To be fair, there was no tactical change or anything.
It's like you don't say man have watched the game because Partey came off, right, and then he started inverting from the left. So tactically, the game did change.
I was talking that rubbish you were talking earlier on club.
Bro, yeah, but it's different. There was tactics. It weren't just personnel. There was tactics behind it.
I agree. I think you guys personally were your own worst enemies in that game. I think you guys handed them some goals that you should have defended better, or a mistake. I don't think Fulham played that well. I think again it's like you said, Mr. White, it's professionalism or what it is. I don't know what it is, but mentally, I've always said something about your team is I know they're very young, I know they got well, but it's like that leadership that something's missing in that sense, and you miss a lot.
Do you know why I sweat? Because at home, I see what you're saying, and it's like we just get caught up in that emotion. Because when we go away from home, we've got the best away record in the last season and a half.
Yeah,
we don't concede. I don't get the mentality.
I think it is though. Do you know what I think it is? I think you could hit it on the head. I'm not a footballer, innit? But I always feel like when you play at home, there's a lot more okay, we're at home. I feel like there's a lot more pressure playing at home. When you go away, you're kind of I'm away. We're coming home. Let's go get a point. Let's go get something. We're gonna play a little bit more free. When you're playing in front of your own, in your own stadium, your own fans, it almost, some people think it'll be the opposite. Where you have where Anfield has the it's just crazy atmosphere and it almost scares the opponents. But I feel like with your players there, they give me when away game, all right, cool. We're gonna come back. When they say about these 3 points, when it comes to home, it's okay, we can't lose in front of the home fans, no matter what.
They're saying but we created so many chances. Arteta's doing his press conference yo, we played bad, but guess what? We created 20 chances. 7 of them were good chances. We scored 3 of them, we've won the game.
Has to be a mental thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what it is? I don't even think it's a scared thing, personally. I look at it as more of a carelessness, in the sense of it's home, easy 3 points. Because that's when you kind of, you're not as kind of switched on where you're passing, where you're positioning, how you kind of your mental approach to the game is a bit more lackluster. That's where I think is it. Because you've got
to come to us and play, and this is our home, this is our fortune.
Well, not even that. Just almost we've won the game already. It's home. I'm only playing this little man team. Yeah, it's easy kind of business. That's the way I look at it. Because the way they're passing, the way they're doing things. Because if it was more nerves, then I would look at their overall performance and be yo, we can't do fuck all. The team look frozen. Like a deer in headlights.
That's
not really the case. It's more
I'm not feeling Payet right back.
Yeah, no, listen, I prefer Zinchenko because he's more forward thinking and he's more able to kind of progress, further up the pitch, more comfortable dribbling.
I think Kai will come good eventually, but there's something about him that gives me very he's very
my way of taking this. Against United on Sunday, I'd start him up front. And Jesus is back. Eddie's obviously banging. I'm telling you, I don't know why. It's just.
It's something
You know what?
passive about his game.
I'm either tapped in or I'm tapped out. I don't know. But I do.
Have you got?
You know what? We'll discuss that. Yeah, I don't know. I've got a different theory on United game, but we'll talk about that for next show.
I just feel like Kai's very passive. I feel like he's very like cute and whatnot. And I'm just like, sometimes in the Premier League, sometimes I just want to see a little bit more from him in that sense. And I think it'll come good for you guys. Forget all that 007 stuff that people try to do now and this agenda. It's easy. But I feel like, sometimes you just want, I watch him and I'm like, I want you to be like, I'm going to hunt this person down and I'm going to come for the ball and put my butt in. I feel sometimes it's very touch. Where's the pass? I'm going to do it. Let me lay it here. I'm going to take 2 steps back. And I'm like, I just want to see a little bit more from him because he's got quality. He's got that Mesut Ozilness about him, and I don't mean that like in terms of like what he is as a player, because he's not even anywhere close to what Mesut Ozil was. But I just mean in terms of like his body language is a bit, he looks lethargic and whatnot. But I also feel like we also don't help him out with the things we do. Like I don't see Martinelli like play him in the middle of the pitch.
No, like in terms of there's 1 or 2 chances I'm sure you've probably seen on Twitter, everyone highlighting. But in general, there's so many opportunities where Havertz will kind of make a run from the inside of midfield down the line to kind of stretch it and bring a midfielder over with him. And if Martinelli plays it quick enough, just like he did for the first goal, which got us a penalty, then all of a sudden you've created space for others. But he dillies, he dallies, and then on top of that again affects the overall kind of like the overall game and then his overall confidence. I feel like maybe with the likes of Zinchenko, maybe a Trossard, players that play the ball a bit quickly, he'll be found in those positions a lot more, and he'll be able to combine better with those players who are more comfortable releasing. But I mean, that's enough on Arsenal. Just say it was disappointing. You know what I'm saying to you? I'll keep it 100. I don't stand for that bullshit. You know what I'm saying to you? When you're at home needs to be a fortress. You can't fuck around like that. Fulham, I don't care. Like a team like Fulham, it should be 3 points. And when you're 2-1 up, 4 minutes to go, you can't be going to sleep on a corner. That's inexcusable. If they scored a rocket from outside the box, I'd be like, fairs, it happens. That's the game, innit? But you can't go to sleep. That's indefensible.
Yo, Liv, you tough, right?
Hey, your chest is different, bro. Your chest is different today, bro. Honestly, bro.
We move. Next up, we have United come back from 2 down in a tough game against Nottingham Forest. That's why you might as well start on this one.
Right. Again, United looking like a transition team. I've been saying this. I've been looking for more from Ten Hag. 2 goals down, and what is it, the first 10, is it, they conceded? I think,
In the first 4, bro. In the first 4.
There you go. So that's horrible to see. I mean, one thing I'll give Ten Hag credit for is, and I was critical of him, was that he was playing Rashford, his best attacker, in centre forward, where he's never been comfortable. And I just don't understand the logic of shifting out your best player, in your most productive player, into a position where they do nothing. And it just doesn't make any sense. It's like you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. And obviously, if you look at the first goal that they got back, it was from Rashford doing his work down the left wing, crossing it in for Eriksen, a nice little goal. And then obviously they built up in confidence. United are a fragile team, very fragile team, you can see, and they can be got at. There was many moments in which through transition or just through teams running at them, they were able to just kind of cut through United's midfield and be straight at the defence. And as a United fan, I'd be worried. And honestly, again, like I said, man, Ten Hag needs to do more. Can he coach? I keep saying this. Can Ten Hag coach, please? Because this team looks like they don't know what they're doing. They're devoid of ideas. And in your second season, 400 million spent, your team should really know and have an identity of playing the game. And they don't seem to really.
Especially, I say this every single week. They have serial winners. They have established players. They have people who are in teams that are, he's bought players that's played under him before. And again, there's no difference. They looked awful. I saw someone say they might as well bring Harry Maguire back into the mix, because if Varane made those mistakes, it's crazy. They were getting cooked. they were getting cooked. Obviously, they came back, boo. But I feel like, again, I don't know if it's an identity thing or what. I don't know if it's an identity thing or what. But all I know is United are they need to get ready to start having crisis talks and whatnot, because something's not making sense right now. I'm so confused that, again, I'm still not seeing signs of, I won't say progression, because United's always been,
it's progression. You're right, bro.
Because United's always been a team that, like, I feel like they'll play rubbish and still win, like, regardless what the manager is like, and they'll still like be in and around in the mix. But yeah, for the style of football progression, it's just crazy. I don't know what it's like. And again, like, you look at other teams, and I'm thinking, you see so much progression in all these other teams. Like, you see, Wolves, all these other teams. You see Tottenham, you see all these progressions. Man, he's had his time. He's had enough time to do something. He's created signings. They've spent so much money, and they have players that go, okay, this doesn't work. We're gonna do this now. We're gonna do that. And nothing seems to work. It's not linking. It's not looking well. They're not looking. The team's not looking smooth. It's not sexy play. It's just all abrupt and messy. Like, you'd think that this is just not the Manchester United I know growing up, to be fair.
What's the difference between Ollie Ball and Ten Hag? Because at the moment, there ain't no difference, is there? It's all transition.
There's no difference. So that's what United are known for. Get it down, get out wide, get to their wide players, make that shit happen in the box. But I think obviously they started off very poor. First goal, Rashford needs to go through that ball, and he did not want any of Mr. Wise guy up top. He did not want any of, what's his name? Awenoya. How do you pronounce it?
Awoni, bro.
I know. I still pronounce it wrong, bro.
He's your ex-player, bro. You should know. Go on, teach us.
Hey, I said he come from us, and I still can't pronounce his name properly.
Rashford didn't want any of him. And you know what was mad surprising? That Rashford couldn't catch him.
No.
So obviously he's gone through 2 minutes in. Anana's, I don't know what the hell Anana's doing in there. Man was going around like a fish out of water. I don't know what he was doing. But he's doing his thing. The ball's in the net. Obviously, set plays, you don't ever really want to concede a set play, and it was a poor one to finish. Concede, and they've done that. But like you said, there's been no coaching. They've come back in the game through sheer personal quality, key player quality. Bruno has come, and he's obviously now forcing the game even more. They're at home, and he's going for it. Rashford's getting out wide, and they're just forcing their players. Their best players are now forcing it, and it's been too much for Nottingham Forest to handle. So Nottingham Forest maybe should have kept the same energy, which is obviously very hard away from home, especially from minute 1 to minute 90. I think Rashford was back to more of his usual self. Yesterday he was very involved. Bruno was quite good. Casemiro obviously popped up with a goal.
Quite good.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about that as well. I mean, Casemiro popped up with a goal, but I was having this conversation with you, Mr. Y, on Twitter about Bissouma, yeah, and you were saying that he's a quality player, blah blah blah, which he is. He can do some quality things, but is he a 6 or an 8? We know that Casemiro is a 6, yeah. But if my DM's getting blown out the way he's getting blown out every game, I don't care how much goals or assists you're getting, because you're gonna keep getting blown out. And throughout the game, he was getting blown out. Even though he scored, obviously it was important. They won the game. That Casemiro thing is worrying, and soon it will get found out on a bigger scale.
But you know what is with Casemiro as well, though? I don't think Casemiro is a lone 6. I think Casemiro has always been a CDM that works well in a double pivot with somebody else who's not naturally a defensive midfielder, but who's also got some defensive, mentality towards them. So at United right now, he's been asked to play a lone 6 role, which is completely different to anything he did at Madrid, and that's why he's struggling. There's so much space for him by himself to defend. And it was similar to what we were talking about with Virgil van Dijk earlier, where if you ask a player to defend large amounts of spaces, no matter how talented they are going to struggle, especially when one is kind of like waning athletically and on a decline. Their legs ain't the same as what it was before.
All right. We got it.
So for me, that's more to do with the manager as opposed to me, I'd get more onto Ten Hag than I would on Casemiro, because I'd be like, look, you know what he can do. So why are you asking him to run around like he's N'Golo Kante?
Burnt like that though. He's getting
but bro, if you ain't got
every time, no matter who it is, every time he
but if you ain't got legs to defend large
I'm
spaces,
with you when he takes it, but you can't take away from the player like getting burnt all the time.
Yeah, bro. Listen, he got burnt. But listen, bro, he's getting burnt. I'm not trying to even defend the brother. He's he's toast, bro. We all see it, bro. Man's toast, yeah. But we also got to look at it and be like, wait, hold on. Like, as a manager, you're supposed to protect your players and you're supposed to set up for them so that they can excel. So why are you asking him to do something that's not in his? Why are you asking, like a Mo Farah to do a 100-meter sprint with Bell? It don't make no sense, bro. Let him do what he excels at. That's the way I look at him.
United as a whole, they'll be happy that they won the game. They won the game, and they've come back from 2-0 behind. Doing that against any team is difficult, and they've held on to win the game.
Trust me, we know.
Rashford, the dive. I thought it was a pen. I mean, he gets some contact. Whether he had to go down or not is another thing. But he gets the contact when your team's not winning. You're going down, bro. If my player does that, I want to see him on the floor.
I think you're smart, man.
Yeah, let the referee make a decision. That's how it goes. And as much as I hate United, they did a professional job. I do believe if they come to the Emirates on that, I'm assuming they're going to come with the same lineup.
Yeah, it's just one thing you can expect.
I do believe if they come to the Emirates and play that way, and we go goal for goal, and we both play open, we will win.
No, I think we'll lose.
I don't think we can go goal for goal. I don't think that's a good idea for them. I'm telling you.
I don't think it's good for us, because I think that we play such a high line at the minute that I feel like we will get opened up differently. Like, if you looked at how many times, especially that first half.
Well, I think that's why we need to revert back to our usual back four.
Yeah, I mean, I can see us changing to. Anyways, we'll leave that United talk anyway. I don't want to do a breakdown on United right now. United Arsenal, but yeah, I thought Rashford was good though. I think that pass he played in for Bruno again. It just highlights again what happens when you put him back on his favorite side. Yeah. He just starts playing with confidence. Like that ball, that little crossfield pass from I think it was from a free kick where he kind of like curled it back into Bruno, who headed it across for Casemiro. It was a top ball.
It was get back in. I don't really have any. Obviously, they didn't start well, and that's poor. But for them to get back into the game, that shows some quality. But,
and he was directly involved in all 3 goals. He got the assist for the first one. He got a pre-assist for the second one. In the sense that he played that.
You roll him a pre-assist now as well.
We ain't doing that.
No, but bro, I'm not usually about pre-assist, but that ball he played in for Bruno is what really made that goal. Like Bruno's header back wasn't like nothing special. It was that.
I mean, that's awareness. That's awareness. Most people are going to go for
it. Was, but I'm saying to you, like, I'm just like, I've got to also shout out Rashford for what he did there, innit, in terms of his pass or his ability to pick out that pass. Not
with the conceding the first goal, because he didn't even try and put a proper challenge in. So he
bro, he didn't want it, bro. I only felt like a brick.
We look back to Lumo, and I think United fans would be happy. I'd be happy, but I don't think they'll be happy with the way the team's playing still. I guess we might touch on that in our show later this week.
The only positive you can take from that is that they won the game, but it was performance for a long period of the game from them.
So, they got the dub. I think we'll touch on their tactical side of a few teams in our pre-game week 4 show. But they won the game. We move to what is City's machine continues with a W over Sheffield United. I mean, I saw this as a easy game for City from the start. I didn't think it was going to be much of a problem. They absolutely dominated the ball. Sheffield United, I remember checking at about the 75th minute, and Sheffield United hadn't had 1 shot on goal. They had less than 20% possession. And it's like, what do you do from there? We see Haaland missed a penalty. He missed a few chances. He wasn't having the best of games. City did find it hard to break them down. But in the end, the machine turns up. Mr. Y was saying that he needed to reboot, antivirus software because something was going wrong in there. He rebooted. He got the goal. And then, it was business as usual until Sheffield United decided to get a goal out of like what was that, their only shot of the game?
Yeah.
They decided to get a goal in the 85th minute. And then as a neutral, I'm saying as a neutral, I'm a Sheffield United fan. I'm whoever's playing Man City fan. I'm watching and I'm like, yeah, that's 1-1. You got 5 minutes. You've held out for this long, only conceded 1. 5 minutes left, the game's done. 3 minutes later, Rodri turns up again, bro. This guy, he turns up. He is a very, very, very clutch player. He does what he does. He controls the game. I know Pep will feel like, even though they created a lot of chances and should have won the game by more, I think Pep will know that luck got him through that one a bit. There was a bit of luck in the way they scored after Sheffield have equalised so late. But it was a machine performance again. Bruv, you can't keep the ball for 80% of the game away from home and not win the game. Yeah. Like Mr. Y said it previously, they demoralize teams. Like if you are not touching the ball for 80% of the game, what are you doing? It's just you're running. You're doing doggies.
It's just like you're right, Mr. Y said this. I'm just gonna say this as well. And Sonny said it's just so boring to watch, man. Oh my god, it's so boring. I get win it, do what you're doing. I think they're gonna win the league, whatever, blah blah. But it's so boring. So boring.
Yeah, I mean, my takeaways from that game, the few takeaways I had from that game were I felt like City don't have enough final third players at the moment. I think with the loss of KDB, with the loss of Mahrez, with the loss of Gundogan, I don't feel like they have enough players that are able to either play that final pass or to score the goal. And that's probably why they struggled for so long to break down that Sheffield United team. I feel like the City from last season would put 3 or 4 past that Sheffield United team because they didn't come to play ball yesterday. They came already defeated. And you could see it from the way they tried to play out. It was as if they had kind of like no idea, no composure about it. They were playing hot potato with the ball. Everything was panic. It was like, oh shit, we've already got the ball. We don't want to lose it. And then they'll overhit the pass or pick the wrong option. And they did that continuously up until they got their goal. They were doing that continuously. So I feel like for City, if they don't sign players that excel in that final third, players that are creative enough or a goal threat, then they may struggle in games like this where teams do sit behind them. Because without those kind of KDB deliveries, it was, they were kind of struggling to create, clear-cut chances with that level of possession that they did have.
Yeah, Mr. White, I know Pep likes to do jiggy with his team and he likes to keep our FPL teams all fucked up. But Foden had one of his best games and then he got dropped.
Yeah. I mean, but even a Foden, like, if we look at Foden at the moment as it stands, and it's not to say he can't do it, but he hasn't done enough to warrant being kind of like categorized as somebody as an output machine yet, somebody who scores and assists goals. He hasn't done that to date. And he hasn't, so I can't necessarily put him in there. He can grow into that. And for City fans, I'm sure that's what they would want. But he hasn't done it to date. And, when you lose Mahrez, and Mahrez was top of that, Gundogan was another that was top of that. And obviously, we all know KDB and his brilliance. So when you lose players of that kind of quality, and then you've got even the likes of like Jack Grealish and whatnot, they're not really players that score or assist goals that much. They're good at, retaining possession, driving with the ball, bringing the ball up, retaining possession, all that kind of stuff. But they're not final third merchants.
So are they not, or is it a system that makes them not?
I just don't think they are because if you compare like you said, if we were to compare a Mahrez to a Jack Grealish, Mahrez does a lot of what Jack Grealish can do, but then he also has the ability to score and create goals. Whereas Jack Grealish doesn't have that in his game.
He's
never
improved.
been a
Grealish has improved, but I agree with you.
yeah. So that was one of my takeaways. I mean, obviously Haaland being human. I mean, he showed for once that there is something remotely human about him. Missing the pen, he missed a few gilt edge chances as well, which was was nice to see because that guy just usually scores everything. And like you said, man, and we've been talking about it, they're a machine. They know how to do just enough. Like, it wasn't their best performance. They let a goal in, and within what was it, 4 minutes of conceding, they've gone out and Rodri smacked a screamer into the top corner. And I think there is a common theme here, though, that we're seeing so far, like having watched all the games unfold, is that nobody's really hit their stride yet. I feel like everybody's kind of a bit tentative. The relationships ain't there. They're not. Everybody looks a little bit off. I don't look at the league right now and look and see one outstanding team that are playing, amazing football and look to be like way ahead of everybody. I mean, City naturally, because they're just beating everybody through death of 1,000 passes. They look to be obviously the best team in the country, but you don't look at them and just see it as it's going to be an easy runaway. Everyone looks to be struggling. Everyone seems to have moments of weaknesses. And it was a boring game, man. It was a boring game, boring City. And you know what? In some ways, like, as much as I love Pep Guardiola and his kind of the way he plays the game, it's boring now, man. It's boring. I fell asleep in the Newcastle game, and I was surprised I never fell asleep in this game. So I'm happy to move on because I'm bored of talking City.
You know what? Yeah, fuck City, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. Fuck them, man. Fuck them, man. There, innit? Spurs' impressive start continues with a comfortable away win at Bournemouth. Bournemouth is not the easiest place to go to.
No.
Spurs again, and just got them playing the same ball. So whether they get taken apart by playing this ball at some point, they're playing the same ball that he wants them to play, which is the start of a process. They looked really good. Everyone bar Richarlison because he's fucking shit. They looked really good. Just touching on that Richarlison, he still hasn't scored yet. Like man like Mikel Antonio and that, who take the piss out of him. Just because we're not really going to talk about West Ham today. Did you see Mikel Antonio's turn for his goal?
Oh, yes. Shift.
Bro, I thought he was doing stanky leg, fam, because back to Spurs. They're playing ball. Basuma, again, doing his thing. Maddison in the 10. He's even doing third man runs, looking like Aaron Ramsey. Bro, he's looking good. Good. Their left back. Yeah. They're yearing.
Spurs is actually playing good football. And again, if you compare it to United, you can see the difference already. Like, 3 games in? You saw it in pre-season. I used to always say, Spurs is all their fans with, and then they're gonna fall out. But Spurs actually, I still think they're up front. They still need a natural goal scorer. I still think Son is somebody who that's not his favorite position for me personally. But I feel like the style of football, they're getting the best out of Basuma. I think it's just Spurs are enjoyable to watch, and again, you can just see the identity that they're building on the pitch. And I'm sure if you're a Spurs fan, you are absolutely loving it and thinking you could actually, with like what Mr. White said, with the team not really finding themselves yet and everyone's still looking to make additions, Spurs could really try and just play game by game and and get their wins and continue playing the style of football and get the right personnel in.
That's the biggest thing, OJ. Like, obviously, Ange's got them playing a certain type of way, and there's certain players playing in certain positions. If his team continue to play this certain type of way and keep evolving, and then he gets his own certain players that he wants in them certain positions to upgrade, that it could be a problem. Because obviously, in his system, he's still got players that are not good enough. But if he gets the players that he wants in his system, and they're still working on the way he's working, working with them, it could be a bit crazy.
I'm gonna make a big shout, and I think he won't get many more. They won't get many more players in. I think this is close enough to the team they're gonna be. This is their strongest team.
Not this transfer window.
No, of course. So I'm saying like they'll build on it, which is good. It would be scarier if they were able to spend a little bit more now, because I think they could actually take someone else's position. I think they're
getting Brennan Johnson in, by the way. You guys know that, right? I think that's almost. I don't know if it's not confirmed yet, but
is it Fish? I know they were inquiring. That's a good number.
Yeah. So Chelsea were.
No, Chelsea have dropped out of that. So I saw something from Matt Law earlier today saying that they are going after Brennan Johnson. And I think Davison Sanchez might be going the other way as well. They're looking at trying to do a deal with that kind of.
That works out for them for the start.
And they still got Harry Kane money as well. So
yeah, I just feel like Spurs can really do something. And again, like you were saying, if they keep building, keep making the right additions, trust the manager's process. I think the problem with them is just a thing with what people always forget is it's a marathon, not a sprint. So longevity. Then you think about when injuries happen, who's replacing you. Have the same like for like players. Can players come in and make that change, that difference, or show it like there's no change, there's no difference for when someone gets injured. And I think that's where Spurs are gonna really, if they don't sign a striker, they're gonna be in a bit of trouble. Going for the longevity of the Premier League, they're gonna be in trouble. But again, and I feel like they really haven't started 11-ish. And again, longevity. It's a long season, but Spurs are doing everything right now. They're taking it one game at a time, and I actually enjoy watching them play. I love this style of play, and their best players are seeming to shine in this. And you got players like you're talking about the left back; he's looking good as well. I like their goalkeeper. Basuma seems like he's just absolutely eating everything that the manager's given to him, that Ange's telling to him, and what needs to be done. He's loving it, he's enjoying it, and I love watching him play. He's a very good player, and it's going to be fun to watch Spurs. But again, I still think there's still a long way to go for their project. But it's good to see the difference, and their teething period is what I would expect. You know, you'd see either them trying the style and it doesn't work, but at least you see them trying the style. It is working for them. But, you just want to see the difference, the tactical changes and whatnot. And you can see it. And that's why I'm so harsh on United and Ten Hag. So,
I'm going to keep it 100, yeah. Obviously, as an Arsenal fan, I hate Tottenham, yeah. I hate Tottenham. Let me just get it out there. But there's something about Ange Postecoglou he's a very likable character. Like, even the way he talks, his press conferences, the way he plays the game, there's something about him. He's got a good aura, a good personality about him, and that's been translated on the pitch thus far. I feel Maddison's come in and he's already kind of taken that mantle of being the main man over there. Looks like he's the heartbeat of the team. Everything kind of goes through him. He's the creative heart. He works hard, creates. He's tracking back. He's doing all parts of the game. I even saw a little video of him kind of like the Bournemouth fans giving him stick and then giving it back to them. It's just, you can see he's enjoying that responsibility, and he feels like he's kind of growing into that responsibility in a bigger club, because obviously he was at Leicester before. Sarr looks a good talent. He played a nice little ball in for that first goal. I've continually waxed lyrical about Destiny Udogie, and obviously his little 1-2 with Perisic before kind of crossing it in he's got everything, that kid, so far, that I've seen, like athleticism, tracks back, works hard, overlaps. I'm yet to see a whole of his game so far, which is promising for Tottenham. We already me and you touched on Chinny on Basuma, and I was tweeting about how much of a fan I am with him. I mean, like, I've always been a big Basuma fan, like a massive fan. He's one of those few footballers that are kind of like a throwback. Like, he's enjoyable to watch. Like, his way he uses his first touch to kind of create separation. It's beautiful to watch. He likes to, he's got a bit of flair about him. Likes to dribble out. I did say though, if he wants to be a world-class lone six, because I think at the moment right now he's probably more suited to being an 8, because he's a more expressive player. And he likes to dribble a lot. And there was a few times in that game where he would, he would win the ball back and then he would overdo it with his dribbling and then he'll lose it. I feel like if he wants to be a top 6, I feel like he'd have to kind of simplify his game and cut those kind of aspects out, because you can't really be that risky when you're the lone CDM in a team. But I also feel like they could alternatively sign another 6 and play him as an 8, because he's got everything to his game. You know, he can pass, he can dribble, tracks back, and he's got a lot of character, man, and he's enjoyable to watch. And there ain't many footballers like that these days. The way the game's kind of gone, it's more football's turned into more of a system-based, robotic kind of game, where expressionism is taken out of it. You don't get as many, you know, like Ronaldinho's and players in that kind of vein who just want to enjoy themselves on the pitch. And Basuma, I'm not saying he's in any way, shape Ronaldinho. I just mean in terms of like he plays the game like he wants to have fun, you know. And you saw that against United in the game before when he was, you know what I mean, putting a ball through Casemiro's legs for fun, you know what I mean, and playing FIFA Street on the edge of the box. But it's looking promising, man. Like I said, it's looking real promising for them. And if I was a Tottenham fan, I'd be very enthused by what I've seen and very optimistic. A lot of young players in there, a lot of players that can grow. And obviously, it's a new era. Kane's gone. They're kind of shifting away from that. They look to be more kind of like more of a team as opposed to being more of a one-man team. And I saw that, something I saw back in the day when Arsenal sold Henry, that we used to be so fixated. Hey, stop rolling your eyes over there, man. Yeah, we used to be so fixated to playing it to the one man that we became more of a team when he left, and there was Adebayo and Van Persie up top, and everybody kind of shared the responsibility and everybody kind of contributed. They didn't feel like they had to give it to him. And I feel like I'm seeing that at Spurs. But yeah, it's looking promising, man. If they can get another signing over the line. I mean, I'm not the biggest Brendan Johnson fan. I think I'd probably, if I was a Spurs fan, I'd probably be more of an advocate of an out-and-out 9, because Richarlison hasn't shown me absolutely anything. That guy is absolutely dog shit. Yeah, he's been, I don't know how, it's hard to take any positives away from what I've seen Richarlison do in the first 3 games.
He's Brazil's number 9.
Oh. You know, I don't even know. I don't know why. I can't even, like, you know, when you try to kind of break something down and like take something from there. Yeah, I can't, bro. I can't, like, you know, like I'm doing all the mental gymnastics in my head, bro, and I still can't come to
I'm doing the math, trying to understand.
I'm trying, bro. I'm in the laboratory, bro, like trying to break down why is he playing for them, bro. But the difference with Brazil is they've got so much talent that you can get away with it. But at a team like Tottenham, where you now have to be a main contributor, you've got to be contributing in all phases. You can't be a passenger in that team. They ain't got people. They ain't got a Neymar to carry. They ain't got a Rodrigo or Vinicius and them man there. So you've got to do your thing, and so far he hasn't. So that would be the one disappointment from a Spurs perspective. But I think what they've got 7 points, is it as well? 2 wins, 1 draw.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, they played United. They've been away to Bournemouth, and they've been away to Brentford. Like, they're not the easiest of games. So
good wins. They're doing what they're doing. They're unbeaten, still on 3. I think it's one of their best starts to the season for a while. So, and just got them playing ball. They're doing well, man. And
Ten Hag, can you do the same? That's what I'm asking, boy. Can you do the same? 400 million spent, boy. That's the question. Can you do the same? Can you coach? Can you get your team to build up? Can you play attractive football?
I think so.
Are we still playing Ollie ball in 2023?
Boy. Right, lastly, Chelsea get first win of the season over poor Luton. Luton, obviously, we've all predicted them to go down. They don't offer too much. I feel like it's just a nice little fairy tale for them. They're in the Prem. They're obviously getting new bits added to their stadium. But Luton are going to go down and they're never coming back. Because they don't offer anything. I feel like it's just they're here, innit? They're here until they're not here.
They're here for a good time. It's not even a good time. I can't even say a good time.
They're just here until they're not here, man. They've got to be there. They just have to be here.
Them and Sheffield United are here for parachute payments only.
Yeah,
that's
man,
what they're there for.
bread.
They're there to collect the 100 million last season because they got promoted, and then the 100 million when they get relegated. That's what they want, and they're good. They don't seem to care about anything else.
Yeah, man. So Chelsea put them to the sword. Obviously, Caicedo came in for his first start. I don't think he was that good, but I don't think Chelsea were that good, to be fair. I don't think they had to be that good to beat Luton. Again, stand-up performer Raheem Sterling was on fire again. He looks like he's got a point to prove. He's scoring, he's assisting, he's getting in the box, he's taking control of the game. He's being that driving force that they need when they need to up the tempo. Well, Enzo was all right. I'd give him like a 7 out of 10. I thought he was decent. Played some nice passes. Nothing like spectacular. Again, you didn't have to be spectacular. But yeah, Sterling and Jackson was all right up top as well. Works hard. He's a bit of like sometimes it's like his legs don't get sorted out in time. But
like Bambi, yeah.
Bambi on ice.
Yeah, I think he's got some decent attributes, and he's got
he'll come good.
Opportunity to be a very good striker for Chelsea. But yeah, the main man Sterling, everyone thought he was done. He is looking sharp, very, very sharp, and it's a bit scary watching him like that because he's not in Pep's system no more. And right now, he just looks absolutely free to do what he wants. It's like Poch says, get the ball, and if you see like you can make something happen, go and make it happen.
Yeah, just be you. Just be you, Sterling. Just be
do
you.
your thing, bro. Do your thing. And yeah, he looks like he's enjoying that. So well done to Chelsea, but not too much of a well done because you beat Luton at home.
But I think Luton might go down as the worst Premier League side alongside Derby, man. They're absolutely trash.
What was Derby's point tally? 16? 14?
Something like that. Let me have a look.
Imagine getting 14 88 games, bro.
I'm not gonna lie to you, yeah. They're gonna go down as the worst. They are awful. They are dreadful, awful. They seem like they don't even look like a ex-championship. They look like a Sunday League team, if that. I think my old Sunday League team could have been.
You're mocking.
They are, but they look terrible. They like you're talking about your captain holding players back because they can't run back. It's just like I don't look. All right, how does Luton tactically set up?
What do they play? Who knows?
Bro, I don't know what Luton like. There's no like person you go, okay, this person is the person who we play for. It's very I don't see any quality in how they play. I don't see any confidence. I don't see any like there's bare mistakes. Like everyone's scared to make challenges, or I don't see real leadership. I don't see like. I like you've been there or something. I don't see nothing. I see nothing. Who are they gonna sign that's gonna improve them? Who's gonna want to go there? I don't think. I forgot Bartley even plays for that team because I thought he was maybe he's number 6, and I was thinking, oh yeah, I forgot he's playing. I don't know. Like they're awful. They're just awful. They're embarrassing. It's awful. And the first team they beat, obviously, yeah. The first team they beat is going to be ridiculed so much because they are awful.
You know what? Yeah, Derby got 11 points in 2002. 11, bro. Hey, listen. I don't know if they'll be that bad, but they might play. They're looking like they want to ride with them.
Have Luton drawn again? Did they draw their first?
No, I don't think they have.
No, they've lost all 3 yet.
No, they only played 2. I swear.
2. Sorry, because the game got
their last game against Burnley got postponed. Yeah, so they lost both games.
It was Brighton was their first game, or whatever. Brighton was their first physical game they played, and they got smoked.
And they lost to Chelsea.
Yeah,
they lost to Chelsea. But yeah, you know what? Yeah, Chelsea's performance. Yeah, it's an iffy one for me because they had a lot of possession. There wasn't as much cutting edge as you'd expect, especially when you see the kind of quality in that Luton side, which is absolutely nothing at all, really.
That statement didn't sit right with me. You didn't even say nothing wrong. You said quality and Luton in the same sentence.
I did slap in the nothing at all as well at the end of it. So, but yeah, man. I mean, it was nice to see Northwest finding Sterling. Finding his love for the game, looking like he's enjoying football again. And he was just he was treating them like it was a kick around in the park, innit? Just a kick around in goals, just taking them for a walk, really. And 2 goals, 1 assist so far for the season from Sterling. So he looks like he's going to be their most influential, most pivotal player kind of moving forward, and especially in attack. I was disappointed with Poch, to be fair, man, because I thought it would have been nice to see Enzo and Caicedo playing in the pivot together and maybe have, the headless chicken Gallagher running around as a 10. Yeah, but man put Enzo in a 10, right? And as good as Enzo is, for me, he's not that. He's just not that type of player. Like he did slap an amazing ball. I don't know if it was for the second or the third goal when he hit for the third goal. It was the third goal, isn't it? When he hit out to Sterling, and then Sterling ran in the box and crossed it to Jackson, and it was a nice little touch, a nice little long pass. And he's a quality player, but I don't feel like he should be anywhere near the 10. Someone like Gallagher, who will kind of like run into the box, crash the box late in that. What'd you say?
Man said someone like Gallagher.
No, but I'm talking about because that's what they're playing. Because he's playing, isn't it? So they play with it.
Nah, man.
Bro, if you think about
it, he's right. I definitely hear him sorry because he will make them late runs in the box,
right? And he won't score.
Yeah, but you got to do the first part first.
Yeah, but you know what?
And work on the second part.
Hey, but Chin, you know what? Yeah, not all runs into the box mean you're the goal scorer. You can be a decoy. Man can be a man that just takes a body away from somebody. I just mean it. But if you look at Enzo in terms of his strengths, is being a controller. So if you put him as if you put him in a double pivot next to Caicedo, he can be that 8 that is box to box.
Luton, like how can you not try it in Luton? Like, come on. Like,
yeah, but I just mean in terms of just being he's the right profile. Whereas if you have Gallagher as a recycler of the ball, that's even worse for me. Because that man's strength is not passing, it's running around and getting in people's faces and pressing. But yeah, I mean, like with this Nicholas Jackson thing, I'm not gonna lie to you. I like him, or I like what he does, but I also think he's very much overhyped. I don't see much difference between him and Eddie Nketiah. The only difference is one's got a special sounding, you know what I mean, a foreign sounding surname.
One's got a price tag and one was free.
Yeah, well, and one's got a nice exotic name, bro. You know what I'm saying to you? Man, but also, that's another thing. I've never met an African man called Nicholas Jackson before, bro. But man sounds South American. But let's not get into that conversation there because that one threw me off. I think he's what, Mali or Senegalese, one of the two. But that one threw me off still. I thought he was South American with that name. But I don't get me wrong. He's a hard worker, runs the channels, works defenses. But the way people are talking about him for doing those type of things is...
Twitter's not a real place, brother. Twitter's not a real place. Don't worry.
Bro, it's not even just Twitter, bro. You hear the Chelsea fans, bro. Chelsea fans are in general.
Chelsea fans are not real people.
Don't lose your head in there, man. Don't.
So, and another thing for me is I've said it again on Caicedo. I don't think I'm putting out early. Caicedo for me is not a lone 6, and I feel like they've shoehorned him into that position, and I feel like that whole formation or that whole kind of strategy of having him as a 6 and Enzo as an 8 is one that's going to probably look better on paper than in reality.
Blame Twitter.
I do think when Lavia's fit and ready to go, that will be their midfield 3, and maybe Lavia will sit the deep with all of them.
That would make more sense because Caicedo is a bit more kind of box to box, all engine, snaps in the challenge. For a lone 6 is a bit more disciplined and not as erratic and kind of, there's a level of discipline that you need to have to be that player. You've seen it in the likes of Fabinho, Rodri. They're not kind of like, they're not box to box. Even Kante. Kante is not really even a lone 6. Kante was like perpetual motion. Like a lone 6 is usually just disciplined, stays in that one position, protects the back four, and then distributes.
Issue. You saw he was left alone a lot, and there was space, and that's where he really struggled, was where he should put himself and when he should go and when he should not. And that's something that he really exposed him. That's kind of something I saw, and I was like, okay, Chelsea's really going to struggle. But if you think about the 11 that Chelsea put out, it's not that strong. I don't think Chelsea's team is not that good. They're not that good. They're very below par. I think they've signed all these players, but their defense to me is still not that great. I think their midfield is still not that great. If they're going to play it, this is how they're going to play it for a while until Levy is back or make changes. Their attack's not all that. Sterling is gone back, found his source again and whatnot. But
the Sassy's trash as well. Let's put it out there.
Yeah.
Black Harry Maguire. I keep telling you, man. The Black Harry Maguire. It's gonna happen. I'm telling you. The man, they're gonna turn on him. They're gonna turn on him fast, bro. Because that guy there, he is stiff, and he's not good at all. And I know they spent 25-30 million, but he's the type of player that I wouldn't want nowhere near my club. And I've seen enough to know that. I've seen enough, and I think my prophecy will come to reveal itself in due time, boy. Just like my prophecy on Klopp will, but let's leave that for another day.
I think they were good. Like, they got what they needed to do done against just a Luton team, innit? It's just a Luton team. I don't even know if it's a poor Luton team. It's just Luton. But they lost the game.
Or just say Luton.
Let's give them the respect. It's a poor Luton team.
Whoever loses to Luton first, blood on your hands, boy.
You know,
all that smoke, it'll probably be you, I'm telling you.
I'm not even going to say anything. So that's just rude. I think that draws the end to the OTP.
Before we cut, guys, any honourable mentions for this weekend?
Honourable mention to West Ham for slapping your team.
Yeah, West Ham did well, man. Did well, man. Man like James Ward-Prowse, Mikel Antonio. That's one thing I like about Antonio, because he's been talking his shit on that podcast about Richarlison, and he's been getting a lot of blowback.
I can't wait for Tottenham.
He's been getting a lot of blowback, yeah. And obviously, you know what I mean, he started off this season on fire. You know what I mean? Scored a nice goal against Chelsea, scored another bad goal against Brighton, and it was a tough game for them, man. Let's not get twisted. So, yeah, man, shout out them. Shout out also, I was very critical on that. I still don't have the highest hopes for them, but Aston Villa as well, man. Diaby's he was a player that I wanted really, really badly at Arsenal. I wanted him as a Saka alternative, and what I've seen so far from him, man, he's been top, man. His finishing is nice, interplay, delivery. He's a threat, man. He's just a bundle of energy.
Hard. That transition is hard, and he from the jump shown his quality.
He has, man. And he's got it, man. He's got it. He's the reason why I always wanted him is because he was a player that always has an effect in the final third. He's always had good numbers when it comes to scoring goals or getting assists, and he's direct. And that's one thing that's always done well in the Premier League: direct, fast, pacey players. So he's somebody that I didn't really think would have an issue, kind of like transitioning from the Bundesliga to the Prem, just because he had those natural attributes. And yeah, man, he's been outstanding for them. And also shout out Emery. I mean, I don't rate about the guy. I call him Bummery, but he's slapped the guy as a second striker. He's got him and Ollie Watkins working in tandem as a front two. Boy, they look good. They look good.
Yes. Very good.
Yeah, man. Let's wrap it up, man.
All right. So, just want to say that is the end of the OTP podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that button. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. You catch us on Amazon Music for the audio podcast, Apple, and Spotify. And again, I want to thank my co-hosts as well. Thank you to Mr. Wyatt and Chinny. And again, you'll see us next week, or maybe later this week. Who knows?